It around frantically if I don't think you see it.
So, good morning everyone. I'm Jordan Plews from Factor 5. I'm the Chief Scientific Officer of Factor 5. Essentially, what the problem we're trying to address here is that skincare is mostly this well-marketed fluff. We have this huge industry, multi-billion-dollar industry, where shoppers are really tired of the hype. You have, by one study, 82% of women don't even believe in the marketing claims of the products that they buy. So they know that when they buy this product that's marketed by Jennifer Aniston, they're not going to look like Jennifer Aniston. But at the same time, they still buy it anyways because they want something that's going to help their skin, and they're not going to just give up. But this nothing works mentality is now shifting towards more discerning users and better products, and we want to be one of those products that really changes the way that people think about skincare. So, what's important? We feel a solution needs to deliver results first and foremost, and specifically anti-aging results, quantifiable wrinkle reduction, skin smoothing, age spot reversal, etc. And we think it's important to have something that's science-based, multifunctional, natural, and of course good value. And so this is what we really aim to put together here at Factor 5. So the basic gist of what we do is we take human stem cells from adipose tissue, which are removed through liposuction. We use them as biological factories which release potent proteins that include human growth factors, and we formulate that into skincare. Then that can be applied topically to receive anti-aging results. So it's a very simple overview, but we're using a mixture of proteins that hasn't been used before for topical skincare. And there is a large body of science that supports this. I myself come from a background in biochemical engineering and stem cell research. After doing my doctorate in the UK on molecular biology and stem cell research, I came back home to Northern California and spent a few years at Stanford, and basically realized that stem cells have been utilized in a lot of different areas, but skincare has been kind of overlooked. And while we fight to get a lot of things through the FDA on a regenerative medicine basis, this market is a very large market. There's a lot of interest, and there's a lot of science behind it. These cells have anti-wrinkle proteins, antioxidants that they release. They've been shown in many studies to be great for wound healing and whitening. And of course, it's a very large market. We're talking about a $15.3 billion market just in the US alone. And this is a growing market. We expect it to grow about 10% over the next 2 to 3 years, with about 53% of that growth being in the high-end section of the market is the luxury products that are over $50 each, with the MD dispense space at the top of the pyramid here representing the most expensive products, and that's really where we reside today. That's where our beachhead market essentially. This is the team. My business partner, John Aylworth, has a business background. I'm the PhD science guy. We've also got some great advisors, including some locally here at Davis Roots. And what we put together is a product that we feel achieves all of the desired results of our solution, but also has a very good cosmesis. It smells nice, it looks nice. We really tried to take in every aspect of this to create a strong product. And as you can see from these pictures, the users that use it do get actual results. They get quantifiable results. And although these pictures speak for themselves, you can see the redness reduction from left to right, brightening of the skin, smoothing of the skin. As a scientist, I want to go a step further, and that's where we brought in the Vizia system, which is made by Procter & Gamble, the Canfield Vizia, which actually quantifies a lot of this. And so we went a step further than most companies do and said, okay, what can we get in terms of quantifiable results? And as you can see in this user, 29% fewer wrinkles around the eyes after 4 weeks. And so this, we have these kind of results across the board in redness and wrinkle reduction, skin smoothing, texture, pores, etc. And we feel like this is a major game changer for the cosmetic market. Right now, we've done over $1 million in revenue in the last about a little bit over 12 months. We've got over 200 accounts now. with about over 1,000 skincare professionals trained. Our average order is over $1,000 with an 85% reorder rate. And we've only really gotten out there to 4 trade shows, so we feel like we haven't even scratched the surface of this, but things are going really well. Our milestones at this point are really to raise money to push more to the marketing. As a scientist who really believes in the science behind this, I had hoped that it was going to be 70% science and 30% marketing. What we're finding is it's very much the other way around, that no matter how good your product is, you have to market it. You have to market it well, and so we really need money to fuel that marketing engine. And so a lot of what we've been told by people like QVC, HSN, is you need to have social media traction. You need to get that Facebook followers up and all that kind of, corresponding with numbers. And so we want to invest heavily in that so that we can then get the attention that we need to move into larger markets. So right now we're in that end dispense market, which is dermatologists and plastic surgery centers. But if we get the marketing right, then we can transition and leverage that into a broader retail market or potentially an MLM market. So that's our basic growth strategy there. The ask, we're looking right now for about $1.5 million. And this is a bit of a moving target. We have multiple kind of tranches we're looking at in the future, but for our immediate goals to get into the next stage, we're looking at 1.5 million, and that's mainly for a larger lab, hiring key staff, and like I said, the main thing is marketing and doing some testing, some market testing around where to go next with this product, this family of products actually at this point.
Oh, wow. Excellent.
Amen.
So, Jordan, we'd like to ask our presenters, what can we, this community, do to help you out?
Being part of the Impact program earlier, we met a lot of great people. I think the networking is the main thing. So if anybody knows anybody that's in this kind of space, they say, hey, I can connect you with somebody, that's always appreciated. We're always looking for mentors and people who've already been here in this space. So anyone in the cosmetic space, anyone who's got that kind of background would be great. And of course, money. We always need money. What
about testers? Do you need testers?
we have quite a few, but we do still give out samples. It depends. Yeah.
All right, I'll now open it up to general questions.
What does the product cost now, just retail? Is it on Amazon?
It's not on Amazon. We are in the process of negotiating that. It's kind of sticky because you have doctors who want to sell at their office, and they don't want you to go anywhere but back to them, right? So what we've agreed now is we'll allow you to sell it at your doctor's office for $149 a bottle.
Okay.
And we basically sell it to the doctors at half that price, so $74.50.
Okay.
And then we'll go online and sell it for more than that, like $159, $169 a bottle.
And your cost was $9 or something like that. Right now you're looking to get to 5.5.
Right. So we're about $9 right now. We're trying to push that down with scale. That becomes easier. You can imagine boxes, bottles, all that stuff drops in volume.
So follow-on question. First, good pitch. But the second thing is use pictures of Jennifer Aniston at the beginning. Go ban her and use somebody else that'll crack your crowd up, and then everybody will want to give you money.
Okay.
The second thing is, do you have women working for your firm right now? Sure. And what do they do, and who's in charge of your sales and marketing?
Our main marketing person is a woman she previously was at another cosmetics company in the Bay and helped them kind of launch from a startup stage. And then, my business partner with an MBA background, he plays a role. I play a bit of a role. I actually did 4 years in biotech marketing before this. So we do have a bit of a skeleton crew. I mean, we cast a large shadow, but we are still very much a startup.
Yeah. Thanks.
Can you tell a little bit about the wound healing?
Yeah, so that's really where the inception of this came for me. I worked in the UK doing stem cell research during the time when stem cell research was banned here in the United States. And so my PI, my professor I was working with in the UK, he had a side company that had taken a different kind of stem cell, embryonic stem cell, which are controversial stem cells essentially, and put them in a gel. And put those onto diabetic foot ulcers, and that was meant to be a wound healing product. It failed in phase 2 trials. But like a lot of these products that are stem cell based around wound healing, there was improvement. So if you go from like a big wound down to a smaller wound, that quantifiable difference is sometimes not enough for the FDA to pass you through phase 2 trials. But when you're seeing that there's this improvement, it is clear that there's new skin, there's new things happening. And that's really what it's like, maybe the bar for diabetic foot ulcers is up here and reducing wrinkles is down here, right? And so that's really where we started. And what we're really trying to do essentially is when you cut yourself, there's a bunch of factors that are released naturally, right? We can trick the adipose-derived stem cells that we get in the dish, in the laboratory, into believing that there has been a damage, right? And then they release the same sort of healing proteins, and then we're able to grab those proteins and apply them topically.
And then what's your, have you started FDA approval for that, or is it
No.
Are you planning to at some point?
I think in the long term, we will probably look at different things like that if we want to go in a clinical route. I mean, certainly there's possibilities, but one of the key things with this business is that we are offering cosmetic. We don't make any wound healing claims. We're saying anti-aging claims and skin improvement claims, and in that we are able to basically release a product right away and not have FDA scrutiny. And so as long as we're careful about our marketing, we can continue to do that. But yeah, coming from a clinical background, I'll probably come back to something like that in the long term.
Having been through it yourself, where do you see the stem cell research environment here in the States going?
Yeah,
Where is it now?
the immediate future for business, I'd say you should look into what they're doing in the clinical trials in the UK and Japan around age-related macular degeneration. And there's also a lot of stuff out of the East Coast on cell therapy, where they're pulling fractions out of the blood and they're showing that certain subfractions are good at attacking cancer. But I think within the next 20 years, once one of these first things takes off, the confidence in stem cells is going to take off, and you'll see a bunch of money poured into all different regenerative therapies around this kind of work.
But until then,
Until then,
I mean, it's the Wild West, right?
it is still pretty wild, and you have to know there's a huge difference between embryonic stem cells, or what are called pluripotent stem cells, and adult stem cells, which is like what we're using for fat. There's still plenty of controversy around the embryonics or the iPS cells, even the ones that are made ethically. You're starting with a cell that it can become anything.
Right.
And if you want to say make a heart cell, which is what I was doing at Stanford, making heart cells in a dish, I could maybe make you 99% heart cells, but that 1% that's not heart cells, you don't want that in your body.
Right.
So there's a lot of there's issues like that are not minor that need to be addressed before it's going to be a clinical therapy.
As far as like the regulatory environment goes, obviously it's going to sway back and forth in this country as the winds change and people's opinions change. So how much gray area do you think exists out there? I mean, if you look at let's just say in California, cannabis, for instance, it's 89% there and 11% gray area. That's the risk. So what's your gray area?
Right now, the major thing that the FDA says regarding regenerative therapies and stem cell work is you can take cells out of someone and you can put them back in. But if you do anything more than what's called minimal manipulation, that's when you get into like you're breaking the law, right? And so because we don't have any cells in our product, we're actually just putting growth factors and proteins that are derived from cells into our product. We're, I think, firmly outside of the gray area. But there are certainly people out there that live in the gray area, and these are doctors that are taking liberties with their MD license, and they're putting their own reputation on the line, because as you know, a doctor can do what they want. They can say, we're going to do this. And so I think that depending on how the legislation goes, you will see a shift one way or the other in the next 5 years on that and the regulation around it. But my hope is that it'll open up more for guys, with the stem cell background.
So you starts and fits then, like anything in the
Yes, starts and fits, for sure.
So, how long ago did you start your company? And did you need to get some kind of approval, regulatory approval to put your product on the market? And how long did that take?
Yeah, so to make a cosmetic, you have to work with the right formulators and things. So like the people who mix our primary ingredient, the stem cell factors, with other ingredients, they are a GMP approved facility. They make all kinds of products that are on the market today. So because they have all the licensing and whatnot, they are covered under that. If we wanted to start our own production facility, we would have to go through that, but it's easier to outsource. So like I say, in terms of anything else beyond that, the FDA only needs to have approval when it's you're making clinical claims. So even though there is science that indicates that these same proteins are involved in wound healing, we're not marketing it for wound healing, we're not offering it for any clinical purpose, and so unless we push for that and design it for that, we don't need to go down any FDA clinical path.
And how long when did you launch?
About 2 years ago. Yeah. Any other questions?
And where do you get your stem cells?
Right, so this is from liposuction aspirate. So these are patients who've come in for liposuction. We've negotiated with the surgeon to do a set of safety tests up front, so we know that they are free from viruses and whatnot. And then we get it as fresh as possible, and about 1% of your fat is stem cells. And so we go through a proprietary process to remove those and do everything in an animal-free, super clean way, basically.
Thank goodness for fat people.
Thank goodness for lipo.
Yeah, exactly.
How much initial investment money have you gone through already?
So we started off with a couple $100,000, and then we've since taken on a bit more. I think we're close to $500,000 to $700,000 total investment at this point.
And so when you're raising the $1.5 million, how much equity are you gonna give up?
That is a moving target. I can tell you right now, we initially started with a convertible note because we didn't want to go through the valuation, and there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons for that, right? So, but as we've grown to this point, we've used a lot of valuation calculators, and I know everyone has a different method, but we've got a pretty broad range on what our value is on paper today, so that's totally negotiable. But yeah, we see ourselves as pretty far along compared to a lot of the developers that have come out of the Impact program recently.
Cool.
Any other questions? Anyone in the back there have a question?
Let me just, that was part of my question, was the financing part.
Yeah.
But how about in terms of job growth and how you see this 3 to 5 years out?
Right, so right now we have a lab based in Silicon Valley, and that's mainly because they are geared up with biotech incubators and the right infrastructure. But I'm from Sacramento originally, my business partner is from the Chico area, and we want to move things over here. There's a lot of benefits to Sacramento, including cost, of course. So we've found a few places that may work for us, and if we can successfully get funded, then we will probably have a lab in a more amenable area like Sacramento, and then we can start scaling and getting more, it's very linear. We have to get more biosafety cabinets, we got to get more people that have some science training. It's not like you just add more of A, B, and C. So it's going to be a stepwise production expansion, but we're hoping to do, I don't know, maybe hire 10 to 20 people in the next year, I would say, maybe more.
In scientific fields or?
I'd say maybe a third to half in science. I mean, we've already got a sales force of about 40 to 50 people. They are 1099 commission-only sales reps. And so as we move forward, we'd like to maybe bring some of those in-house and can have more control. But yeah, that's the science part, the marketing part, the main areas of growth.
Have you connected with MedStart, the local?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've connected with them. They helped us look for lab spaces, which has been pretty tough considering how much medical stuff happens here in Sacramento. The biotech, biomedical side is not that strong. So actually, one of the places we're looking to take over was previously an IVF facility, but that's the kind of facility that sort of approximates what I need, because you need something very clean, and there's not a lot around here, unfortunately.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.